So one big question for 2025 is, can Kenny Clark get back to the level that he was playing at before 2024? Because he had consistently been one of the better defensive tackles in the NFL. And then in 2024, just wasn't a great year for him. He finished the season with only 1 sack. A year prior, he had 7.5 sacks in 2023. And in both 2021 and 2022, he had 4 sacks each of those seasons. So just compared to how he had played previously, it just was a down year in many different ways. Tackles, sacks, a lot of different things like that. And it wasn't until a few weeks ago that we really got some more insight into what may have led to Kenny Clark's down year. And he shared more about an injury he dealt with all season long from the very first game in Brazil, where apparently he got his foot stuck in the turf, which led to bunions and bone spurs, according to Kenny Clark, and this was shared via Rob Demovsky. And so then Kenny Clark, in January, ended up getting surgery on his right foot to fix the problem. And even with this injury he dealt with all season long, he played through it. He didn't miss a single game. And so it seems that may have been the thing holding him back and not really allowing him to get to the same level we've seen in years past. And so now the hope and expectation is, if that's really what was one of the big problems last year, which it seems like it was, because Kenny Clark brought up in one of his interviews that it definitely impacted him a lot. And so coming into 2025, he is 29 years old. He's going to be 30 in October, so he is getting a little bit older. But if he's able to stay healthy, I think we could see a little bit more of the Kenny Clark we had gotten used to before 2024. And I think when you look at what the Packers did this offseason when it comes to the defensive line, that they have some trust and confidence that Kenny Clark can produce more in 2025. Just because when you look at what they did on the defensive line, they let TJ Slayton go. He signs with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was pretty solid when it came to stopping the run. They didn't prioritize defensive tackle this offseason in free agency or the draft. They did draft Warren Brinson in round 6, but they didn't really make any major, high draft picks, any big-time free agent acquisitions on the defensive line, defensive tackle specifically. And so because of that, it makes me think that Brian Gutekunst and the Packers front office have some confidence in this defensive line. And when you look at where the Packers finished last year, 6th best scoring defense in the NFL in Jeff Hafley's first year as defensive coordinator, if that's what this defense looked like with Kenny Clark dealing with an injury all season long, then, I think there's so many different reasons to be hopeful that this Packers defense can reach another level, another year in the Jeff Hafley system, Kenny Clark hopefully staying healthy. I do wonder what the loss of TJ Slayton will do for the Packers run defense, because it was very solid last year. And while TJ Slayton wasn't the only reason this run defense was really good, he was definitely a very impactful on running plays. And so it's going to be interesting to see sort of what happens here with Kenny Clark. He still has 2 years left on his contract. He signed a 3-year, $64 million extension last offseason. So he still has 2 years left under his current deal, and he'll be 30, as I said, in October. But getting that new information from Kenny Clark about his injury, it does sort of shine some more light into maybe why he struggled in 2024. And if that was a big reason for that, then I think the rational assumption would be that we could see him get back to at least to somewhat the same type of form we saw in 2023. And if that's the case, then that's going to bode well for this Packers defensive line. But if you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.